We'll call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the City of Callaway Board of Commissioners. It is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. It's 6 p.m. If y'all will stand with me, Commissioner Pelletier will do the invocation. Commissioner Ayers will do lead us in the pledge.
Lord, we thank you for allowing us to gather today, and we pray you guide us in making decisions for our citizens in our city. We thank you for our first responders who keep us safe every day, and we ask that you bless them and their families. We thank you for our citizens and employees who make Callaway a place we want to be, and we pray you bless them and peace with success. In God's name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, please do a roll call. Commissioner Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Here.
Commissioner Ayers?
Here, ma'am.
Mayor Henderson? Here. Okay, we have one presentation tonight, Zay County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Kit McKenzie.
Mayor, Commissioners. I just want to go over January stats. Our calls for service were 932, miles patrolled, 22,796. We had 40 arrests, 126 traffic stops, 81 citations, and 33 traffic accidents. Questions or comments?
Deputy
It
McKenzie.
seems to have been pretty quiet in the month of January. We sure didn't have as many calls as we usually do, and everything else seems to be down. The arrests held pretty solid, but our traffic accidents were elevated just a little bit.
Yeah, I'd like to tell us, we had some kind of commotion break loose over there in Dredge Harbor at 2:30 in the morning, and it was loud and constant, and they responded immediately and took care of it. So I
Very
appreciate
good.
that. Thank you.
Main thing you are pleased with is the citizens are happy.
We love you.
All right, thank you.
We're always pleased with you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a couple proclamations. Is Mr. Smith here?
He is heading this way, but he's on a walker and he's just a little slow.
I mean, he's already here and
Yeah,
just
I
walking.
believe he's-
He's getting here. Well, I tell you what, if we have two proclamations, let me go ahead and do one, and then when he gets here, we'll do the other one. Okay? We do have City of Callaway proclamation, whereas the month of February is officially celebrated as Black History Month. And whereas the purpose of Black history is to emphasize the significance of the historical experiences of Black Americans, their advancements, struggles, triumphs, contributions, and successes. And whereas the rich history and heritage of African Americans is documented in the fields of education, medicine, science, music, art, dance, architecture, athletics, entertainment, politics, religion, technology, and many other fields. This rich cultural and historical background has given inspiration and has provided identity for African Americans. And whereas Americans of African descent have made valuable and lasting contributions to our country and our state, achieving exceptional success in all aspects of society. And whereas during Black History Month, all Americans are encouraged to reflect on the rich history and teachings of African Americans and bear witness to the progress, beauty, and achievements they have made throughout our great country. And whereas the theme for Black History Month in 2025 is African Americans and Labor, touches on the invaluable contributions of African Americans in the workforce. Now, therefore, I, Pam Henderson, Mayor of the City of Callaway, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2025 as Black History Month throughout the city and urge all residents to join in the celebration of this significant and historical observance. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Callaway, Florida to be affixed this 11th day of February 2025. Well, I'll tell you.
He's gonna work while he's walking this way.
Well, I was gonna say, we can go ahead to the mayor's instructions. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, we would like to withdraw item number 1,
Okay.
and then we have a change order for the Ball Park Community Center that we'd like to add as number 7.
Okay, well, we can pull the item without any action. Would somebody like to make a motion to add the Gore Park Community Center change order?
Motion to add Go Park, change order.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, so we'll make that item number 7, which technically now is item number 6, since we don't have an item number 1. Okay, and I will go ahead. I know. I will go ahead and explain, because we do have some people here that don't typically attend for public participation. You can speak on each one of the agenda items if you would like. All you need to do when I call for public participation, just indicate you would like to speak. When you're recognized, come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you have to do that each time you come up to speak. But state your name and address for the record, and then you have 3 minutes to make your comments about whichever agenda item you're speaking on. Then at the end of the meeting, if there's something that was not on the agenda that you wanted to speak to the commission about, it's the same process, just once you're identified, come up and state your name and address, and then you have 3 minutes for your non-agenda item.
What's going on?
Would y'all like to join me down front?
There you are. Hey, man. You know me? Michael? Oh, my goodness. My goodness.
Mayor's got something for you.
Yep. Well, we all have something for you.
Hey, Mayor.
You go ahead and you just sit down right there.
Okay.
We didn't get you out here tonight for
I'll stand
nothing.
up, I'll stand up.
Okay, well, you come on up here then,
I'll come on.
so Tim can take a picture.
Hey, man,
Some
what's
other
going
people
on?
can take a picture.
To them? David, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good. You wheeling right along?
What's going on, man? What's going on, T? Hey, man, how you doing, man? Good. Well,
Well, we need you.
Turn yourself
so
sideways.
So they can see your pretty face.
uh-oh.
Look at us, they look at us all the time. Okay, we have a City of Callaway proclamation honoring Black History Month and recognizing George Smith for his service on the City Commission. Whereas Black History Month is observed each February to honor the contributions, achievements, and rich cultural heritage of African Americans throughout history. And whereas the City of Callaway proudly joins communities across the nation in celebrating the resilience, innovation, and leadership of Black Americans who have shaped our city, state, and country. And whereas George Smith, through dedicated service on the Callaway City Commission, exemplified commitment, integrity, and leadership, working tirelessly to enhance the quality of life for all residents. And whereas George Smith, a steadfast advocate for fostering positive change and progress in our community. And whereas the City of Callaway expresses its deepest appreciation for George Smith's unwavering dedication and lasting impact on the city's growth and development. Now therefore, I, Pam Henderson, Mayor of the City of Callaway, on behalf of the City Commission and residents, do hereby recognize Mr. George Smith for his outstanding service on the City Commission from 2003 to 2012. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Callaway, Florida to be affixed this 11th day of February 2025. So we just want to honor you
Well, you guys sit down, please. Well, you know, when I moved to Callaway, I gotta tell you this, I moved to Callaway in 1975 because the house I was buying in Cedar Grove, the lady didn't see us, we were ready to close, we were at the closing, and she said, well, you didn't tell me there was, so she used the N-word. And so I started looking again, and wound up on H.L. Sutter Trail in Callaway. Mr. Bob knew I sold me the house, and I tell you, it was the best move we made. And I just fell in love with Callaway. Callaway's, I raised 4 children, and this, you know, in '93 I sold my house on H.L. Sutter. We bought the house right down the road there. I was in the county. And I stayed one night in the county. I got to be in Callaway. Got my crossover and combined with Callaway. And I don't know, all I can say is that I thank everybody for being here. And I know most of everybody in the room here. And my homeboy there. Mississippi! We both started out, I was born about 10 miles away in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And you know, my dad moved in 41, in 42, right after Pearl Harbor, we moved to New York and joined the Air Force in '53. My first assignment was Tennessee Air Force Base, 1954. And I had such a culture shock when I moved down here. I hadn't been in the South to understand how y'all live down here. And I wrote out to the president what he was like, and I told him, I said, you know, the problem down there, I can't handle it. Somebody will get hurt. I might not be the last, but I might be the best, I might be the last, so you need to get me out of here. So 2 months later, I got an assignment, went overseas. I promised myself, but 5 months later, I'd never come back to Panama City. But God, you know, here I am. 20 years, I was 39 years old when I moved here, and this year I've been 90. I served under the planning commission, we did the first zoning for that. And this cover gave me so much, I felt like I had to give something back. And my service was all I had. And again, thank you everybody for coming tonight. I appreciate it, and this will be one of the big moments in my life. Thank you so much. Let me do this before I go. I'd like to introduce my two sons. George, my oldest son, he's just retired from Delta, he's a Delta pilot. And his brother Andre, Andre is the manager at the medical facility. And my grandson, Sammy. And there's another guy here, there's somebody that I know everybody here, just about. A guy I met in London in 1969. I was running a hotel for the Air Force at Douglas House. And I went downstairs to do my security check. So this guy's down there asleep. I said, hey man, you get sleep here, you know. And we had hotel rooms. He didn't have any money for rooms, so he was sleep down in the basement. And Lucy, he's just a cowboy resident. Shut up, Lucy.
Oh, yeah.
He was a sergeant, but I don't have a third class McAllister.
I'm only having third.
Oh, okay. And I served on the care board for how long? 20 years on that board, huh?
Yes, sir.
So we care board for all my life. And of course the Navarres back there, all of them, we were neighbors on H.L. Southern Drive. They did. All right. Anyway, what's your title now? The supervisor. I'm talking to you. I've known them forever. And Mom and Dad were good friends of mine. Yeah. And so, everybody, my Lord, I see my attorneys here. And I know where David Griggs is. David is not my ward commissioner, but he's my friend. So if I need something, I'll call David. If I get David, I'll call Pam. And they you take care of whatever I need. So thank you everybody for being here.
I'll get your pictures, man. Hang on.
Thank you.
just a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here, come here.
That's my daughter-in-law. All over Louisiana. Dr. Jackson over there, God bless you, Doc. Thank
Stop
you.
talking to me.
I'll see you, baby. Okay, I'm gonna sit down now.
Okay.
Ooh, I got a little neuropathy. I'll tell you what, I thought getting old take a lot longer than this. All of a sudden,
We're trying to keep it secret, that's why.
yeah, I was on the computer one night.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.
They called me in order. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
We will go on to approval of the minutes. We've got the minutes of the January 28th, 2025 regular meeting. Did anybody have any changes to the minutes? Not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, and we will go on. Item number 1 has been pulled, so we will go on to item number 2. Ordinance number 1110, small scale comp plan amendment, 1200 block of South Casper. City manager. Well, no. it's just one.
Read it.
Yeah,
First reading.
go ahead.
First reading of ordinance number
1110, an ordinance of the, ordinance amending the comprehensive plan of the city of Callaway, acting upon the application of Napoleon Decidius, designated for high-density residential future land use as certain parcel of land lying within the city of Callaway, Florida, consisting of approximately 2.065 more or less acres. Said parcel is located on South Catherine Avenue, Callaway, Florida, parcel ID 07295 0000000 is more particularly described in the body of the ordinance. Amending the city's future land use map for high-density residential designation for the parcel, repealing ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance should take effect as provided by law.
City Manager.
Mr. Fry.
Good evening. As the ordinance mentioned, they're trying to get a higher density in their future land use map. Just want to point out the next two items are on the same property owners, et cetera, but they are two separate items, two different ordinances. I think it could be best described by Mr. Harris, the engineer of record, who's working with the developer, Mr. Napoleon, as to why they've requested this. And Mayor, with your permission, Mr. Harris is here.
Hello, my name is Aaron Harris. My address is 1030 Southeast 4th Terrace in Cape Coral, Florida. And I am the engineer of record, and I'm here to represent the property owner, Mr. Napoleon DeCoitis. And as Mr. Fry mentioned, we appreciate the opportunity to do this development on this property. We tried to make it work with the given land use and density that was there, and when I say we tried to make it work, we tried to make it work financially. We were unable to do so. So we're asking this to come up with a compromise. It's basically a better plan in our opinion. We propose to build a townhome community that has its own drainage facilities and has its own play lot park and amenities. And it's not going to be any more dense in terms of site coverage because it's a two-story product, not a single-story product. I can answer any technical questions that you might have, but there is public water, there is public sewer, and obviously we're going to provide adequate drainage and adequate street lighting and all of the normal amenities that we would provide with a development of this nature. That the landowner is committed to providing quality housing that is affordable for I'm going to say for the workforce, and certainly he has a particular passion to provide housing for military families because he has a military background. So I'll just stop there. Happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you very much.
Anybody have questions for Mr. Harris?
Actually, I have questions, not necessarily Mr. Harris.
Okay, well, we can go ahead and discuss, and if there's something that comes up that he needs to answer, we'll get him back up to answer. That works for everybody.
Well, one of the first questions, I guess, would be, Mr. Fry, has there been any reaction to the posting?
No, sir, I have not received any. We've had to sign up and proper noticing through city clerk's office. I've not received any comments or at all from the noticing.
And I'll make a comment about that. The present zoning is R5M.
Correct.
All the homes over there, they're not necessarily mobile because it doesn't require you have to be a mobile home. They're all single-family residences, and behind this property is what the Habitat Village is going to be, and where there are 13 homes going in there, and they're all single-family. And very honestly, they're close to the same amount of area as this is going to be. And the developer is saying that they can't do single-family homes there. It's not practical financially, I guess, for them. But what I don't really understand and it puts us in an interesting position, is that none of the residents in that area, and we even have developers that are building, developing on the, southeast corner, with 13 homes going in there, and they're single-family homes. And it's just surprising to me that, we haven't had any comments concerning, high density going in there. Now, the developer, guess it's some questions I could ask him, but relates to the, you'd be putting townhomes in, apartments, or what, in there, but they're not single-family residences. So, very honestly, I'm in a little bit of a quandary, because one side of me says, of course, there's also property on the south side that hadn't been developed yet, that's owned by Mr. Wynn. And if we do this at high density, that would also give them the opportunity of the background that possibly they could go into that. Now, we can't guess, we're not allowed to guess, et cetera, but, I'll be very honest with you, I'm in a quandary as to whether or not to, approve this. But, on the other side of the coin, I've got people that, all the residents in that area are not complaining about that, and it's been noticed for, extended period of time, because this was actually supposed to come up before the planning board, a month ago, before they even
Before the
came up.
blizzard.
Yeah. I attended the planning board meeting, and I'm surprised too, because I went down there, and everything's single family down there. And got the new development going in, I would think that developer would have showed up this evening and say, hey, now wait a minute, I've got all these single family coming in that we're gonna build, and then right around the corner, we're gonna have 3 townhomes. Okay, so there's 3 of them total.
3 townhomes?
6 and 2 4s.
That's what the conceptual drawing.
Right, that's what
Well-
they presented at the planning board. Okay.
And of course, I always use Bridge Harbor as an example of conceptual. Conceptual is not what they necessarily can put in. Actually, if we approve this, they could actually be going for apartments, not townhomes, et cetera, et cetera.
That's correct.
So,
So
I've made my comments so far.
I know we're kind of getting into the next item, which would be zoning.
Right.
Even though we're talking about future land use, but the zoning is R5M, which is the most dense zoning designation we have. So if you do the math, they could do 8.7 units per acre. Now, they're only asking to go up to 8.9. 8.99 if you want to get exact. But they can't do attached homes because those are considered multifamily. Right now, mobile homes would be allowed. When they change the zoning, they will not. And right now, they're not required to do any playground or open space because they don't meet the size requirement. When they change it to multifamily, they will. 15% of that project will be open space.
Well, there are a lot of pluses to what they're doing conceptually. But that comes back in later.
Yes, sir.
They're not required to necessarily do that. So I'm interested in any other comments.
To me, I would think all those single-family homes that are going up and that are there would prefer not to have mobile homes maybe in there, so.
But
No,
why
it's a
didn't that
plus.
go, if we approved that developer to go ahead and build 2, recently, if y'all recall, to go ahead and build 2 as examples of what the other ones are gonna be. And like I say, it's just surprising to me that,
Nobody said anything.
you know, now is that, putting it back on us, but we also get criticized with, making these kind of decisions, but that comes with the territory.
What do you, John?
I'm with Commissioner, I'm in between all
You're on
this
the
too,
fence.
because I just don't, my personal opinion, which has nothing to do, the day, but is that you've got all these single family, and I would imagine when that starts going up, that's when they're gonna show up. And it'd be too late then. And, we've posted, everything, the signage is right, but I think, everybody's busy and they don't pay attention, and maybe they should, hopefully maybe some of them in that neighborhood is paying attention this evening, they're listening in. Because this is the first reading.
These are both first readings, so if you do move forward, then you'll have to advertise it
And,
on the website, and then come back.
but I have the ill feeling about it. Personally, as a realtor, they're gonna have a hard time selling to a single family when you get duplexes right on the corner.
Yeah, and we had the battle, with the citizens really related to the Habitat for Humanity. And outstanding, the outstanding bills. We actually went with an R5 on that, it was R6, we went to an R5. And that's gonna be very honestly, I still believe, to be a plus to the neighborhood.
I agree.
But, I'm surprised that nobody over there off a comment even had something to say, because the corner, anyway, it's kind of like, have you made a count, how many times have I said surprise, surprise, surprise?
Commissioner Ayers, you have anything to say?
I'm thinking also that these are huge lots over there, and the houses have a lot of room around them. So what are we talking here? How many, are they gonna do townhomes or duplexes? I kind of picked up on both. Do we know what they're gonna build?
They've submitted a conceptual drawing of 3 buildings. How many units was it total?
May I,
13 units.
We have proposed 3 fourplexes and 1 sixplex for a total of 18 units. And they're all proposed as platted for sale townhomes. And we would be willing to stipulate, we have no desire to build a rental product, which would be apartments. Zero desire. My client wants to build attached units versus detached units, but it is a for sale product, and I think if there were any real estate professionals in the room, they would join with us and say that a townhome that is a for sale product is not going to in any way devalue the detached for sale unit. Apartments, another story, but we're not proposing apartments, and if there's a way that we could incorporate that stipulation in this, we would be willing to do so. We do not want to do for rent products. We proposed it conceptual because obviously my client does not want to go do all the engineering until he knows that he's got the small scale approval and the zoning approval. So it's sort of a chicken and an egg for us, but that is what we are going to do if you choose to give us your blessing. Thank you.
It's gonna be, from the way you're describing it, it's gonna be similar to what we have in Galleria, which is 96 units over there in the Galleria. When you're talking about, you've got the pond, and you have playground, et cetera, but these are individual units, and they're not a PD. There's not a PD in there.
Correct. They're not done as with condominium interest. They're actually done with individual lots. But a fourplex, is divided. The two in the middle have a front and a back lot setback, and then the two end units have a front, a back, and a side setback. But each individual unit is a for sale unit. And it's, you know, it's 2-story. They all have enclosed garages. We've done this on another project, so we already know what we want to build. We just haven't adapted the buildings to this site. And as Mr. Fry indicated, this zoning, or this request, generates one more unit than what we would be entitled to do under the present zone. So we're proposing 18 units instead of 17 units, which we would be entitled to do under the present zoning. But having to bring in the amount of fill that we're having to bring in for this site and making it drain properly is the reason why financially, the detached single-family houses on this particular property on only 2 acres just doesn't work for us. So anyway, I hope that answers your question.
Is there a way, maybe the attorney or somebody know, this is really in the question for you, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a way that we can work a stipulation in there that it will not be rental?
I mean, that'd be like contract zoning, so you can't really do that.
Okay.
Because again, there's nothing to say, we get this approved and they've all hard times and have to sell this property. You can't really-
If these are individual units, just like anywhere.
It'll be platted, yeah, it'll be platted eventually, if what they're saying, that's the only way to do it.
We can't dictate to an individual owner that he cannot rent his property.
No, but I just meant, he said they don't wanna build apartments, and that's what I didn't know, if there was a way we could stipulate that it wouldn't be apartments.
Well, most of the townhomes that are being built now are, very honestly, are more rentals or would be eventually.
Yeah, Bridge Harbor's got a whole group over there, and they're all for lease, they're not being sold. My question is, you said you're bringing a lot of fill dirt in.
Yes, sir.
What's the elevation being raised to?
Right now, it's about a 6.5 or 7, and we want to bring it up to an 8.5, I believe, which is about 1.5 feet above the Catherine, above the street, just for positive runoff.
Will that cause the positive runoff to run into the Habitat for Humanity?
No, sir, we have perimeter swells to catch everything and keep it on site. We're still detaining the proper amount, providing the proper amount of storage on site, but we just need to build it up for positive drainage.
Okay,
It's just a low site.
just for you to know, Hurricane Opal, when it came in up to 13 feet. So, and that area over there really got flooded.
I totally understand.
Okay.
Well, they would have to build up to the current requirements. Which unfortunately, some of our earlier properties are not at the current requirement.
Yeah, my house is right at 13 feet in Callaway Point, and every house in Callaway Point except for 4 got flooded.
I lived through Hurricane Katrina, that was a 27-foot storm surge, so I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments about this before I open it up for, I'll get y'all in just a minute. We gotta finish and then I'll get the audience, okay? If you just bear with me, Mr. Smith.
Just a question to the attorney, if we approve this tonight, this is only the first reading.
It's only first reading.
Right, first reading, the first one's obviously the land use change, that's gonna be the rezoning, both of the first readings would have to get advertised and come back in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, that's,
So nothing happens tonight other than you're just approving first reading to come back and have a final hearing on it.
okay, well, that's, and I'm everything on the table. And the reason I'm asking that question is after the conversations that we're having on this, and many times it's just automatic, it's approved. But with the conversation we're having on there, we got 2 weeks before our next meeting, that maybe we'll get some more input. So, everything on the table.
Anybody else have anything before I open it up? No? Okay, Mr. Smith, if you.
I just wanna say,
State your name and address.
George Smith, 809 Highway 22, Callaway, Florida. I just wanna say, I like the bed up there. But when I was sitting there, I got some folks here that came for this presentation, and I didn't know what was gonna happen, and we need to leave, and that's gonna disrupt everybody. So, Ms. Mayor, can we be excused?
You, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Can we also get our 3 minutes? Sure. That's what I just wanted to say hello. I'm Alvin Peters, 512 Bunkers Cove Road, Panama City, Florida. Good friend of Smitty and his family for many years. And I'm proud of the city of Callaway tonight because for several reasons. One, you've acknowledged Black History Month and done so by proclamation, and I think that I respect that, and I'm proud of you for doing that. And I'm particularly proud of you for recognizing one of your own, George Smith, who says he was born in Hill House, but I call it Mole Hill, Mississippi. He gets mad at me every time I tell him that. And grew up there, and then got a little too old to accommodate him in Mississippi, and so the family made the decision that it was just time to move away, and he moved to New York. And then he landed in a place called Staten Island, where he was friends with everybody. He was friends with the black folks and the Italian folks and maybe everybody else in Staten Island in those days. And he took that attitude of friendship and respect and humanity and joined what? The United States Air Force. I think you asked him about his education. He didn't get that far in school. But look what he learned, He learned a lifetime of learning. I'm proud of him for that, and I'm proud for, after all that Air Force, he married and had a wonderful wife, which we all knew, from Liverpool, England. Yeah, and he'll tell you the story of, and I think I can tell it, how he courted her. Got a lump of coal.
Very cold.
And brought that coal and burned that to keep the house warm in Liverpool, England, so that maybe he could get some attention and one day, bring his bride back to Callaway, Florida. All right? And that's what happened after a twist and a turn here and there. And look, if you look at this building today, right, and you think about a person who's committed to serving their community, you don't have to go much further. Tell me when I get to my 3 minutes, Kevin. You know, much the cornerstone, right? If you look at the cornerstone of the building, what do you see? And if you go to Bay Haven and you think about education and all the children who've gone to Bay Haven, what do you see? George Smith.
Yep.
Right there on that building. And so I drive out here many times to Callaway because why? Panama City doesn't have this kind of place. And every time I do so, I think about the vision of the city fathers and mothers of Callaway. And you're right here, carrying that tradition along. So thank you for acknowledging Black History Month, and thank you for acknowledging my good friend George Smith.
Well, you're very welcome, and thank you for sharing that.
I wanted to get that in there while you struggle with zoning and this and that, the usual things that city government does. But thank you all.
Thank you. God bless everybody. All right, Boots. All right, Sarge. How you doing with it? You not know what you're gonna do. How you doing? Looking good. So, Doc, thank you so much. You look good. You got your back up here, man? You got your back? No, so they got behind you.
You be good, George.
God bless you, man.
Hey, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you. What's going on, man?
Okay, I think we gave them a chance to get unsettled. So, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this, on the change the small scale comp plan amendment item. Anybody? Don't see anybody, so it's back to us, gentlemen. Would somebody like to make a motion, or you have further discussion?
Motion to approve ordinance number 1,110, small scale comp plan amendment, 1200 block of South Catherine Avenue, parcel ID 07295-000-000, first reading.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion before we vote? Not seeing any. Go ahead, Steve.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier?
No.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes.
And Mayor Anderson?
Yes. And we will go on to agenda item number 3, ordinance number 1111, rezoning the property at 1200 block South Catherine.
This is ordinance number 1111, an ordinance rezoning from residential R6M to residential multifamily medium density. That's certain parcel of land lying within the city of Callaway, Florida, containing approximately 2.065 acres located on South Catherine Avenue, parcel ID 07295-000-000. All is more particularly described in the body of the ordinance, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance shall take effect immediately upon passage.
Is there anything anybody wants to say that hasn't been mentioned?
Yeah. Like I said before, this is same property owner. This is just a zoning map for the local city of Callaway. Not a comp plan. Separate item.
Anybody have any comment, questions regarding the rezoning? Anybody in the audience want to comment on the rezoning of this property? Seeing anyone?
This rezoning request, in the body of it says, R6M, I believe the property is R5M.
It says R5 on the right end, but then it says R6.
The map that's attached said R6M. The attachment. That said R6.
So that's probably,
May have just been summary.
yeah, the summary probably is incorrect.
Nobody else, that's right in the ordinance.
That's what it looks like according to the maps.
Any other comment? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance number 111, rezoning of property located at 1200 block of South Catherine Avenue, parcel ID 07295-000-000, first reading.
Okay, we've got a motion, do we have a second?
Second on the first reading.
First reading. So if there's no further discussion, city clerk?
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
And Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Okay, so we will address those two again at our next meeting for the final reading. Okay, we'll go on to agenda item number 4, budget amendment for fiscal year 2025, FDIC grant to the Parkway Median beautification. City manager.
We're just adjusting the budget to basically the project amount, or the budgeted amount by the state. Earlier in the year, last year, the state actually took some of the money out of the pot to use for another project, since this was only gonna be done, since it was gonna be done in this fiscal year, so we're just adjusting our budget to match up with the states. This is a pass-through, state will reimburse.
Any comment or question for city manager? Anybody?
the audience want to comment on the budget amendment? Seeing anybody, would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve budget amendment for FY 2025 FDOT grant Kendall Parkway median beautification. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we go on to discussion, city election dates. And I know Commissioner Ayers that you put it on, but if you wouldn't mind me making some comments first, and then I'll turn it over to you. And basically what I wanted to let everybody know, I know when we talked about this at the last meeting, when the supervisor of elections was here and went through, you know, all the different issues about it, and we talked about getting citizen input. So what I did, which has already been submitted, I think the newsletter has already gone to the printer, but I took the information, I went back and listened to the recording to make sure I got the information correct. I took all the information that she had given us and wrote my mayor's corner on that, so I'm gonna read it to y'all to tell you what I put and exactly how it is, so that we can try to get input from citizens about what they think about moving the date, since we had talked about, you know, doing a referendum or something. I think this is a much easier, less expensive way to get input. So, the commission is considering moving city elections from April to November to coincide with the county's timeline, and we would like your input on whether we should make the change. There would be definite advantages to moving the city elections to November. Voter turnout would increase. In the April 2024 election, only 8.08% of Callaway voters turned out, while 70% voted in November. In the April 22 election, 8.28% of Callaway voters voted, while 53% voted in November. Second, there would be decreased cost to the city. The city spent $3,000 on the April 2024 election. This was the minimum cost possible, with no sample ballots sent out and no early voting available. Should the city remain with April voting and add sample ballots and early voting, the cost to the city would be $10,000 plus. If the city moved to the county's November timeline, the city would have the benefit of sample ballots, election day voting, and early voting at multiple locations at no cost at all to the city. The only negatives to moving to the November timeline would be to the candidates themselves. Candidates would be campaigning to a larger pool of voters, increasing the cost to run a campaign. Candidates would be competing with county, state, and federal candidates for campaign funds and sign placement, etc. There is the possibility for voter apathy, since the city candidates would be at the bottom of the ballot, and not all voters would vote for every position on the ballot. This occurs now as not everyone votes for judges, etc., but the number of voters for Callaway candidates would still be much higher than it currently is. Please let your commissioners know your thoughts on moving the election dates. We will be deciding at an upcoming meeting, and we want your input before we make the decision. And then I listed all of our email addresses at the bottom so that it's easy for people to get in touch with us. So, I mean, that's really my input for this is, you know, I would like to hold off until this will come out in the March newsletter, so I'd like to not make a final decision until we give people the opportunity to email us, and then maybe, you know, one of the meetings in March, maybe the second meeting in March, we bring it back for a vote.
I agree, and super letter, by the way. Very well explained, and it covered all sides. And I basically wanted to just make sure we didn't drop the ball on this, and we kept it on the front. And we've done that, and thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. When I know we talked about putting it in the newsletter, so I went ahead and got that written up and got it sent so that we're making in for March.
Yes,
So that should be a good opportunity. Hopefully, the majority of citizens will read that newsletter and see that and, you know, let us know what they think.
We need to inquire what the last day, because if we move it, I know that today started, you had to open to get your name on the ballot.
Qualify, well, she had said that qualifying would be in June. our qualifying would move to June if we were gonna be
Oh, okay.
a
I read
November
today's
election.
paper, sister cities, they open and closing in April or something.
Well, yeah, but yeah,
For their April election.
but they're all April elections.
For their April election. We don't have elections this year.
No, we have no, yeah, but no, if we stick with April, we'll still qualify in February. If we move to November, we'll qualify in June.
Gotcha.
So there'll be a little bit longer election period, campaign period.
And it won't be this November,
It
it'll
would
be
be.
a year.
I mean, it would be when y'all seats are up, but it would be 2026,
About 6 months later.
yeah.
Qualification, instead of being, February plus, it would be, June.
And so everybody's term will get extended about 6 months because we'd all switched to November, so we did get extended from April to November.
Actually, the notice about this is on the first page of the website, so anybody that goes on a website, actually, with the link to our last meeting, which everybody can see, well, they can see the whole meeting if they wanna sit through it, but they, at least the first part of the meeting covers the supervisor elections.
I wanna compliment all of you, we've had a great discussion about this, and, I personally appreciate that.
Okay, so does anybody else up here have any comment? Would anybody in the audience like to comment, give us your input tonight? And if not, we look forward to getting emails from you, whether you email one of us or all of us, whatever you prefer. But please let us know what you think. So I guess we will go on to your city water letter to Dade County, discussion on that item number 6. I'll let you start this one.
Both the mayor and I attended a, Bay County Health Department 85th anniversary here, and Dr. Lapido, our Surgeon General, was there, and he talked about fluorination in the water, and how it's detrimental to pregnant women, young children, etc. And he recommends that we remove the fluorination from the water. Now, it occurs naturally, but Bay County is adding fluorination to the water right now. So I thought I'd bring this up for discussion. And if you go to the Surgeon General's website, he lists everything on there. I have them in front of me here, but I think it would sink in better if you got a chance to read it and see what the different causes of that. And I think Bay County, if with a little pressure from the cities, they may actually approve removing it. There's been other counties, like Lee County, has already removed the fluorine out of their water. And Naples, Florida is served, I think, in that area, and they also voted to remove the fluoride. Now, we get fluoride in our toothpaste, and I'm sure none of you, when you brush your teeth, you don't swallow your toothpaste. And this is equivalent to doing that, I think, on a daily basis by drinking the water. And you can also get mouthwash with fluoride in it. And every time you go to the dentist, they always give me a fluoride treatment. So fluoride's available out there for everyone. So I'd like to open it up for discussion, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I did have some questions, and I don't know if you know the answers to this, or if you can find the answers to it, since you brought the topic up, are there state or federal fluoridation guidelines?
I think they're optional, because it is fluoride. And fluoride is a natural occurring element in the environment, but it's also toxic. Now, Bay County just was recently awarded, I think last week, the best tasting water in Florida. But is it the safest water to drink? And since Lee County and Naples, Florida has already led the way on removing fluoride, I think we're good to go. Now, that's only speculation on my part.
Do you know, are there any regulations on the addition of fluoride? Does the state say the amount that can be added? You know, who determines how much fluoride is added to the
I
water?
think the federal government does that.
Okay.
When I spoke with, one of the Bay County commissioners, he mentioned that. So that they're regulated, by the amount they put in, from the federal government.
And it sounds like, I mean, do most of the cities, I know you said a couple that have quit doing it, do most of the cities still continue to put fluoride in the water as far
I
as you
think
know?
we're on the cutting edge here, and
Okay.
I'd like to say that, we're here to help lead and protect our citizens. Number one purpose for us is to protect our citizens. Number two is provide great infrastructure if we can. And number three is keep the taxes down, plus all the, everything else that
Now,
associates with
As
it.
far as the other cities, I know I was in a League of Cities meeting yesterday, and we talked about this. And they are all of the ones that they don't want to send a letter from the commission, they're more inclined to talk to the commissioner, talk to the county
Yes, ma'am.
commissioners. They don't really wanna do anything this far.
I have no pride of authorship. I put the letter together in case you guys wanted a letter, and most of it just, referenced Dr. Lapido's, justification to remove the fluoride from all drinking water in Florida. And, so there's a lot of reference to that, and then at the end, we request they remove it. But like I said,
I'm a little surprised, since he's the state surgeon general, that the state's not taking the lead on this and doing something. That's what I don't quite understand. Why isn't he going to the legislature or something and saying, this is an issue, legislature, you need to do something, to tell the city or tell the counties or whatever, regulate it more strictly or something. That's,
I think
What is
they
our
want
Bay
to
County
know.
Health Department's stance on it?
Well-
Question them.
he's the surgeon general, he spoke at the health
They work
department,
for
so
him.
I imagine they would, they work for him, so they probably would not disagree with him. But like I said, him being the state surgeon general, I just don't know why he's not taking some kind of action,
Well, I think
rather than
they're-
just telling us and, leaving it up to the city to contact their county.
I think they're trying to let people make their own choices, like they did with the COVID shots. I mean, he led the country in refusing to force people to take COVID shots. And I think he's leaning in that direction on the fluoride too. So I hadn't talked to him personally, other than to thank him for
But
everything
it
he did.
seems like if he thinks it's this dangerous, I mean, he lists out things that sound pretty serious. You'd think if he really believes it's this serious, he would want to do something. I mean, he thinks it's serious enough to, put this literature out. So I'm a little bit surprised that.
Well, I would say go to the website and read it, you just educate yourself. Look what Lee County did and look what Naples, Florida did and their justifications. It's, in fact, I found that looking at the newsletter, from, one of the national newsletters. They were talking about, Lee County and Naples removing the fluoride. And I think it's just gonna build from here. So we are kinda on the cutting edge.
Do you know what other states do?
No, ma'am,
Okay,
I don't.
okay. What else? Y'all chime in, what do you? Commissioner?
Interesting enough, we attended the Republican people yesterday evening, and, the Republican Party of Bay County is gonna press the issue with, county commissioners to remove the fluoride.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's,
And I think it's gonna take some push like that, Bob, because I think the bureaucrats might be a little resistant, but it's gonna save the county, I think, $90,000 a year, not to have to put fluoride in the water.
so I'm with you, I
That's
don't
what I've been
understand.
told, cause I asked if that 90,000 would trickle down to the cities. I mean, it's not much, but hey,
It's a little bit.
every little bit helps.
Being awarded the best water, that makes it hard to convince them.
Well, it still should taste good, whether they have fluoride in it or not.
And at the end of the day, you're gonna need every city involved.
Yes, and I think Panama City is starting to lean that way too.
Yeah.
Hard to put, 3 counties against 1,000.
Yeah, that's,
I think we have 50 cents.
I'm old enough, because I remember that Crest was the first toothpaste that came up with the fluoride. Of course, everybody else goes into it. It's been proven by every, dentist and obviously other areas, and, for public health, it is allowed in the water systems, and actually, they apparently have standards that apparently we're following. If we're not following it, then we got a problem. But, I'm going to quote my wife on something. She points out to me somewhat regularly, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist in that direction. You wanna talk about containers and all that, I'm your man. But as far as, what the standards should be and all that, I'll leave that up completely to the standards people who have the knowledge to present those. And if our, doctor for Dr. Labrador for, the state of Florida is saying, oh, this is optional, I got a problem with him. You know,
I'm not
he can
saying
present.
he's saying it's optional, he just hasn't pressed it past his office. So he has, published his findings, and he cites, I think, 4 different studies that find it detrimental.
Yeah, well, he is a doctor, and he also has the power in his position to say no more. But, however, the government has the power to say no more cigarettes, and the power to say no more this and no more that. And they make these things optional, they just attach dollar figures to them. But very honestly, I'm not gonna go home tonight and tell my wife that I've agreed to a letter dictating, or at least attempting to dictate, what we're gonna do from the citizens when I don't have the knowledge for that. So I'm off the letter, however everybody agrees to it.
Well, it wasn't there for to agree or disagree, it's just there for reference at the moment, and this is a discussion.
Anyone else? Anybody in the audience want to comment on Mr. Bostic?
Good afternoon, Tony Boston, 159 North Point. Commissioner Ayers, I would caution you about putting any validity into Dr. Ladapo. He's been sanctioned more than any Surgeon General in the state of Florida's history, or for that, in the country, for his absolute ludicrous ideas behind COVID. He cost 86,000 people their lives here. He's a prime candidate in that. He's got probably the same resume as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And what's happening with this is, I don't want to see you guys in Callaway do a great job. My hat's off to you. That's the reason I've been asked why I don't come to the meetings. Why I come to the meetings, and you guys are doing a fantastic job. But don't fall into the same trap that our sheriff just fell into, politicizing this, when for 60 years, fluoride has done us good. I put no faith, confidence, trust, or fidelity in anything that Ladapo or Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says. He's a 46-year-old Nigerian-American doctor. At 46 years old, how much do you know about being a doctor when you just got your doctor's through school? And here in the state of Florida, as you well know, as all you well know, we do things based on policies, not based on science. We got an idiot for government, and it just keeps on going. Now during COVID, everybody in Bay County knew somebody that either was sick from it or died. Now how did you feel at that time? Again, you guys here in Callaway do an absolutely marvelous job running that great little city. I'm proud of you guys, but don't fall into that trap because he came here. If you notice, every time our governor comes here, he wants something. He might drop a check, but he leaves a mark of something you want to get done. And it's usually not you. Don't be like our government, don't be like our state surgeon general. Do what's right for the people of Callaway. I agree, Commissioner Briggs, you're not a doctor and I'm not a doctor. But I don't have to be a firefighter to know that when the house is burning, it's hot inside.
I got it, my hearing aid's down, go ahead. That's all right, that's all right. I heard it, I hear you better.
But again, don't make this about politics and don't put a whole lot, if you don't take my word for it, go back and do just do a cursory Google search for Dr. Latipo. Do that for yourselves. And I encourage you to keep the fluoride in the water. You can't put a price on health. And as a lot of us know, we getting older and older, and the older we get, the sicker we get. The more it costs you to be sick nowadays. Thank you.
Yes, it does, thank you. Would anybody else like to speak about Mr. Shaner?
I'm Sharon, 611 Kevin Circle. I don't know about the fluoride, or the fluoride rather. You know, I depend on other people, you know, that know a lot more about it than I do. But, I'd just like to know what them little black specks is in the water that clogs up the screens. What is that? That screen little thing, you have to take the screen off and clean it out once in a while, or you go to get you a glass of water, and you see that little black thing hanging down there. What is that? I mean, you wonder about that, you know, what it is. Your toilet commode, you know, it don't take long for it to get that rain around there. I mean, you know, you gotta scrub that real regular. And, you know, what causes that rain? But, you know, I wonder about the water here in the cell. But, you know, I don't know about the fluoride. I have to trust somebody else, but I wonder about that. Them little specks of stuff that come out of the faucet, or you know, that little screen gets clogged up for. What's that?
Mildew.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Anybody else want to speak about the fluoride? Not seeing anybody.
I'd like to say his input, thanks for your compliments, but I totally disagree with his position. The COVID shot caused the second and third wave of COVID and killed more people than it saved. So I just totally disagree with him. And Dr. Latipo is using research, not his personal opinion. So, and I think we have a great government.
Okay, well, nobody else wanted to comment, so do we want to leave it there? Everybody do their research and decide what they wanna do? Yeah, it was just discussion, so.
Has anyone, excuse me, do I need to go to the pulpit?
Yes, ma'am, if you wanna speak, you've got.
Say your name, address.
Go to the pulpit and preach.
I'm Charlotte.
You got to say, you're speaking to the
I'm
microphone.
Charlotte Lynn. I live at 7003 Cherry Street. I've lived there since 1984.
Okay.
Go back after Hurricane Michael. Came back, was in Springfield for a while.
Okay.
But I've never heard anyone, we're talking about fluoride. I thought that was a dentist that should tell whether our children, so if we take the fluoride out of our water here in Callaway, in 20 years now all of our children have rotten teeth. I'm suffering at 71 years old that from years that I never had fluoride, that I've tried to, after I have implants and different things I've had to, because I didn't have it as a child. I come from Michigan. We didn't have fluoride in our water. We didn't have chlorine, fluoride. I thought fluoride was for your dentist, for your teeth, your children's teeth. Is that not what it is? Why are we talking that it's bad for our health?
Well, I think a lot of it was lack of education back in those days.
That is
of what it was
correct.
doing, but
That
now
is
we're
correct.
educated. and
Correct,
Our
correct.
toothpaste has fluoride in it.
Right, I understand that. So are we saying that we're getting too much fluoride?
Yes, ma'am.
Then why don't they cut it out of the toothpaste a little bit? Well, no, some children, was going to every school and taking care of little children's teeth, because now we have children that's parents who don't make their children brush their teeth. That's the first thing my children do every morning. Well, they're grown now, but I still ask them. And they tell me to mind my business, but I said, I paid for those teeth.
I mean, it wouldn't be just Callaway, the county puts it in the water, we buy the water from the county,
Right,
so it would have to be, it would be countywide, the county.
Well, I'll be talking to my county commissioners tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
I still work, so I'll be asking about that.
There you go, we can talk to them, thank you.
But a dentist is who that should be making that decision that we're getting too much fluoride in our teeth. But like I said, if we take it out, in 20 years, we find then our children have rotten teeth again.
Thank you, ma'am.
And being paid at the government to have them fixed.
Is there anybody else?
That's a fact.
Before we go on to our next item, okay, we're gonna go on to our add-on item, Gore Park Community Center change order, city manager.
All right, this is a change order from the community center. They started the project on Monday. They are working extremely fast on the demo. One of the questions that was gonna be, I'm sure that y'all have, is how is this not recognized in the beginning? So the building had a drop ceiling, and on top of that drop ceiling was a solid ceiling. And above that, there was insulation. We couldn't get up in there and really do a lot of tear out because we were still renting the building. We did test it in several places, and it did have substantial insulation. When they actually went through this week and they took the ceiling down, probably, Tim, would you say 30% or better? There was no insulation up there. And so they also found out that the insulation rating that was up there was actually not up to code. So they wanted to come through and remove all of that insulation. We'll go back with spray insulation. We are significantly under budget on this project. And so they are requesting a $4,500 change order so that we can go in and spray that. I apologize that this got on there at the last minute, but by the next meeting, they'll be way past this point. They are working extremely fast. They're actually looking at a 90-day turnaround on this instead of 120, but that's where we are. Also, you also saw in the change order, we had left the water heater where it was in hopes that would help. It's not working in that area right now because we're going to be moving some electrical, and so they wanted to move it back into the mechanical room and our storage room, at which point we would get away from a hot water heater and go to a wall unit that will service that building just fine. That is a no cost. They're just recommending that change. We went ahead and accepted that change since it's no cost. It's actually going to help the layout of the building a lot better by not having a closet in that corner. So I'll open it for questions.
Any questions for
You
Steve?
putting hot water on the van? When you say on the wall?
It's Kim Wade College.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Hot water on the van, right?
yeah. Oh, on demand. Okay.
Great thing to do. Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's a great thing.
We do expect it to save significantly when we spray the ceiling on the electric bills, because right now we're bleeding out of that building really bad.
And two, we're gonna bring our rates up on the building, right?
We sure will. At least $2.
Anybody else have any questions for city manager? No? Anybody in the audience want to comment on the change order to the community center? Seeing anybody, would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve Gore Park Community Center change order number 1.
Second.
Okay. Motion in 2 seconds. All, if there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. And that completes our agenda and brings us to our commission comments. I'm going to take up a little bit of time tonight. I have several things I want to mention from the TPO meeting mainly. And I did want y'all to know, I know we talk about new businesses coming to Callaway. I don't know if any of you have noticed, because you probably don't travel Cherry Street as much as I do, but the old SunTrust Bank building, H&R Block has moved in there. So it looks like they're fixing the building up. So I'm not doing a commercial, I'm just saying it's good to have an empty building be occupied again.
Okay, the February 5th TPO meeting. First off, I want to commend our city manager. You know, we had talked about the Southgate sidewalk project a couple meetings ago, you know, I think we had to do a resolution to submit the grant application. So it was submitted on time, the TPO staff did the ranking, you know, based on the criteria. Our project came out ranked the #1 project, which means it would be sent on to the state. Well, something happened. Lynn Haven had a project. They somehow submitted information late, but things got re-ranked, which knocked our project down to #2. Well, city manager, and this is the first time I've been on the TPO for a lot of years. This is the first time the city manager's ever come and addressed the TPO, but city manager came and talked about, you know, what happened and, you know, this is what happened and, you know, making sure that everybody was aware, which was great because that allowed, basically the 2 county commissioners are the ones that really jumped on it, Daniel Raffield and Claire Pease. And, you know, everybody agreed, no, you can't submit something late and then move up even though you were late. So it ended up that we decided, TPO voted to go back to the original ranking, so our project was the #1 project. So it'll be submitted to the state and hopefully the state will approve it and we'll get the sidewalk on South Gay funded 100% by the state. So that was one important item that came out of the TPO meeting. Something else I wanted to let y'all know, we had an update from FDOT and the things that kind of impact Callaway, they did, and I know several people have asked about the flyover. The Tyndall flyover should be complete finally late summer of this year. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and we'll see, but that's what they say. You know, they're gonna do a 231 Star Avenue, they're doing a realignment. They said that should be let in June of 2025, so then the work should start on that realignment. That'll make it easier if you're traveling the back way to get to 231, go to the airport or anything like that. The DuPont Bridge, that's actually, it's a design build project. They're working on the design is just about finished, so he said we should see, you know, some work starting probably early summer of this year. So that's not gonna be shut down or anything yet, but we should see a little bit of activity where they'll be starting on DuPont Bridge. And then the most important thing to me, or one of the most important things, you know, I had met with Superintendent McQueen and we met with some FDOT people to see if there were any temporary measures that could be taken to make things a little bit safer, especially when parents are picking up their kids and dropping them off and stuff. So I asked about that and he said they really couldn't come up with anything to do, that widening Highway 22 is what's gonna resolve the problem. But he did say that gives us more information that we can use to leverage trying to get those funds. So hopefully, if we keep having one little thing after another little thing, hopefully, eventually, FDOT will fund that we can get that project done. So those were the things that came out of the TPO meeting that will basically help the city of Callaway. I do want to mention too, Commissioner Briggs, he had a lot of information about that ranking on that project. So we were all fighting for Callaway to keep that project. And something else that will be of interest for you guys, we had a Bay County League of Cities meeting yesterday. Our quarterly meeting is going to be March the 10th. So you'll be getting, I know it's the second Monday, so that's probably not a good Monday for you. But we have to work it around people's commission meetings and stuff. So it'll be March the 10th. We're going to be back to the BFW with Sonny's Barbecue. You should be getting an invitation. It's going to come from Jamie Ward with Lynn Haven. He's going to take over sending the invitation out. So you should be getting that within the next couple days. And something else I just want to mention, I attended the Bagos Red for you know, heart or cardiovascular awareness. So, you know, it's because cardiovascular disease, heart attacks are the #1 cause of death for women. So, you know, if you're a woman, make sure you're watching your health. If you think you're having any heart issues, make sure you get checked so you can get it taken care of. We don't want to lose any of our Callaway citizens to heart disease. And I think that covers the things I wanted to mention. So Commissioner Ayers, we'll start on your end tonight.
Pretty much covered everything you saw. I was busy trying to look into things. I did attend a Bay County Commissioners meeting and talked with Claire Pease and some of the other commissioners separately about the fluoride thing and kind of felt them out, see what they thought about it. Also attended FSU's First Friday. CPARB was the host, and they briefed some of their community activity and impacts. I thought were pretty interesting. They donated over $13,000 to local veterans, 98,000 raised for community activities, which benefited 9 nonprofit organizations, and they're also involved in Millville, trying to lift that community up. And of course, they were a major player in a half-cent sales tax, which is going to benefit all of us. And that's pretty much all I have. Oh, I did meet with Shane Boyette today. He works for FPL, and the city manager and I drove around and looked at all the different projects and pointed out all the half poles and things like that. Of course, most of those don't belong to him, but some of them did have power still on them, just sitting there, not connected to anything. So he took at least 3 sites he's gonna work on, and then he's also gonna look into lighting over here in the recreational area. So, thanks.
Commissioner Pelletier,
Excuse me.
wake up.
I reserve my time for, city manager comments.
Okay, Mr. Briggs.
Very honestly, I'm gonna highlight a little bit, what, the mayor brought up. The, transportation alternative that all the citizens that signed those, letters and got us into position to where we were ranked first on that particular, item to get those sidewalks. And by the way, those sidewalks, we're talking about $1.5 million, which is basically, to give you a perspective, that would be all of your ad valorem just to put in that sidewalk. But if we can get the $1.5 million, it's not gonna come out of the general fund, it's gonna come out of the grant. So that's the importance of what y'all did, of signing those letters and getting, and helping us, getting at least our position on that grant, potentially.
We had 51 letters total.
So thank the citizens, whoever was involved with those letters.
A lot of it we had the seniors to make. I brought them up here and the seniors signed a lot of letters for us.
But, that was a very important. Now, to put it in perspective, we still have to look at, the state approving that for our district, District 3, which involves 14 counties. But what was so disturbing, to go back to what happened to us that particular day, and that was last Wednesday, it started with the the technical advisory group. That was the first that we heard, and it so happened that I was attending that. Of course, Eddie's the chairman of that. But when our Emerald Coast Regional Council, who is really our staff, I consider them our staff, that handles all this for that, was given the presentation to the technical advisory group. All of a sudden, we hear that they have revised the rating, and now I put by adding counts to the, Lynn Haven, submission, that now Lynn Haven is ahead. Well, that surprised us because we had already gotten our agendas because we're the TPO, and we're the ones that issued the final recommendation and submission to the state. So that was a very surprise. Now that was an 11 o'clock meeting, and this submission came in at 11:30. And I looked over to Eddie, and Eddie looked over to me, and it was just, it was shock, because the Emerald Coast Regional Council does not do that kind of thing. They know better. Once a submission is made, you don't go in and resubmit. So, we had at that point, because we were then faced with the 3:30 meeting with the TPO, and nobody in the 3:30 meeting at that point knew anything about this. So everybody was prepared to come in and actually approve what had been submitted. We got 96 pages that we go through for that particular meeting. So it's been a complete surprise to them. So after the technical advisory and what they did, they followed what was being presented to them and actually recommended that we accept the resubmission. In other words, we're going to recommend to the TPO that the revised count was what was going on. That really put us in a bad position. So from that point on, you can visualize what was taking place in the next 3 to 3.5 hours. Eddie's phone was ringing. I was going around. We had to, both of us ended up calling the mayor, because it was a complete surprise to the mayor, who is also the chairman of the TPO. So she needed to be advised about that. So we were trying to find out exactly what was taking place. The next meeting was at 1:30, and that was with the Citizens Advisory Group. So I also went to that, because by that time we'd already blown the whistle. I'll use that phrase, blown the whistle on what had taken place. So we were curious I was curious to see how the Emerald Coast Regional Council was going to at least submit to the Citizens Advisory Group. Well, by that time, I couldn't get there in time. I was a few minutes late, so I couldn't get to Paul to advise him what was going on, to warn him what was going on. But fortunately, they saw through what was going on, and then they issued the submittal. Paul, if you recall, you issued submittal that that the TPO passed the original rating, etc. Now, I'm gonna be very frank. Eddie doesn't like to lose. There's no way that he likes to lose. And with all the work that has gone into this to get this money, he was hot, very hot. Now, unfortunately, he has no standing on the TPO board. So, but what we talked about, and the plan was that Eddie would go in because on the TPO board, anybody that has something they want to bring up, they bring it up in the beginning. So Eddie was put on the agenda, put himself on the agenda to speak in the very beginning. So at that time, outside of some other things that were going on, at that time, very few of the people on the TPO knew what had taken place. But what we looked at was that Eddie will give his presentation. When we get to that item, then that left it wide open for me, because the mayor, being chairman, is not, can't participate as much as perhaps we could or I could. So, Eddie did his presentation, unloaded on the whole situation. And that alerted everybody, all the commissioners and everything to go in there, because we're talking about county commissioners, city commissioners on the TPO. And alerted everybody there and gave them a fill-in of what was going on and what was right, what was wrong. So they had that understanding. Now jump ahead a little bit, because it turns out that the two commissioners, Judy Vandergriff and Pat Prino from Lynn Haven, got word of what was going on, and they actually checked with their people to find out if, in fact, they were doing something that shouldn't be done. And as it turned out, they realized that they were in the wrong. They couldn't do what they did. So we had the situation, we had the Emerald Coast Regional Council that had allowed something they shouldn't have. And then Lynn Haven, their personnel, did something that they shouldn't have. So we got several things to be involved there. Our chairman is taking care of the regional council situation. And the commissioners took care of the, I guess they're gonna take care of whatever took place internally with them. And at the same time, Eddie had come in and gotten with Daniel Rathfield, who is the county commissioner for that particular district up there. So he had filled him in on various things. We had 3 citizens from the city of Callaway who was there. So beginning of the meeting, I alerted them as to what had taken place and told them that Eddie was going to be doing a presentation. After that, we're going to see how things go, but we had everything under control. Just tell them, didn't have time to tell them the entire story, but they knew that there was something going on. So when we ended up with the meeting, it became fairly easy for me to fill in the gaps, if you will. And very honestly, and I'm very proud of the commissioners from Lynn Haven, because they owned up to the error. And when Claire Pease, when everything was in a settled state, to say, and the chairman called for a vote, Claire gave the, and I seconded, and all the commissioners, everybody there, including the Lynn Haven commissioners, and all voted so as unanimously to keep the way it was. Now, the long story, but the message that I want y'all to hear is, because of y'all's participation, we're number 1. And actually, because of Paul and what he did on the Citizens Advisory and understanding the situation without being told what was going on. And of course, Eddie deserves all the credit of getting this resolved. So I want y'all to know that. And by the way, and I'm going to throw this out, that one of the things that I dislike about some of these internet things or websites or whatever, I understand, I don't know it. I just heard that whoever knew something about what was going on here gave all the credit for the resolution to a county commissioner. I won't give his name, but a county commissioner. But if there's any credit that's due, it's due to this gentleman sitting over here. So, thank you. That's all I got.
Okay, Commissioner Davis.
Yep. One thing I want to bring up, maybe Kip's input. I think there's a couple roads we need to use no truck signs. I've been getting phone calls and looking at the edges of the road where these big old heavy fuel trucks are running off, just tearing, demolishing Hickory Street, the one. Oh. They're cutting around Southgate and turning, going up Hickory to go to that gas station. Instead of using Tennant Parkway, and it's breaking off the sides of the road. I don't think we can get law enforcement to back anything up if we don't have signs.
Are there other streets besides Hickory?
We need them on Southgate. What they do is they come down Boat Race, come up Southgate, and take a left and go up to that gas station right there. Instead of just going right down to the Parkway.
Bill's already got the notes. We'll look into it.
Anything else, Commissioner?
Do you mind if I address that real quick? You can put a sign up anywhere, but I can't enforce it unless you make it a law. So you're gonna have to pass some sort of a law. Come together and decide what that is, but, you can put signs up all you want to, but if there's no law to back it up, nothing to do about it. So y'all are, law-making body, so y'all could make a law to restrict access on certain streets, but you need to work with your attorney to do that. Thank you.
You can list it or bill it. You can do the order. I looked at our, we talked about this a few months ago. They'll have a small section of the code and you can do a list of streets and change that periodically if you want to.
Does it have to be, does the street have to be this, or does it just say, we got?
We can sort of incorporate like, by resolution, we can actually do the, street names. But it needs something, it needs an ordinance.
See if we have any streets that have that, because we
did.
signs out.
We could, that may be done without an ordinance, because I looked at our code of ordinances, I didn't see anything on no trucks. And then that sign would have to fall under that traffic code that we looked into it.
The other thing, I know we still got more fences to do, but I'm telling you, just, we need them to come out.
We've got a section we're gonna fix. We have a section that we're gonna fix.
There's about 4, and I don't mind spray painting them to point them out.
I do have a law for vandalism.
But really, they need to fix that. It's getting worse and worse. It looks terrible. And the rest of them you're gonna update, the rest of the project, but I'm done. Let's wait for the updates.
Okay, City Clerk, do you have anything? Okay, City Attorney, okay, you're up.
Busy time, busy time. As far as that stuff goes with the TPO, I just wanna say one thing. Don't touch our money. That was our money, that belonged to the city, ain't nobody gonna take it from us. The bridge, they're having some issues with their crane on site. They're still being charged liquidated damages. When the crane does get over there, hopefully at the end of this week, they just gotta put some riprap on the other side. We do have some erosion issues that they have to address. They've got a punch list of items. If they choose not to fix them for 6 months, we're gonna keep charging them liquidated damages every day. So, we'll continue to, do that. We met today out on the median, Tim Laguerre, and Brent and myself met with those guys. They're getting ready to start that project. What do you say, about 2 weeks, right? They're getting all their stuff ordered and in, so you'll start seeing a lot of movement out on the median. We'll be doing that one section at a time. Gore Park Community Center, those guys started out Monday morning, just bright and early. They're doing demo work right now, and they are going through it very, very quickly. And as I said, they have 120 days, but they're actually going to try to complete this thing in 90. So Tim can get that back open. I've been talking about the spillway grant. The state has still not given us guidance yet on what they're going to do on the spillway. We're still, I think we're between 60 and 75% on the plans. And I was hoping whenever I get the next set of plans, I would send it out to y'all and y'all take a look at it because it'll have structures in it. They're working on geotech right now. Beacon Point, did Felicity check back with you? No? Okay. We've talked with the state and everything else. I can only say we've got to get a cover sheet. We do not think the state is gonna make us go through their review process, and if it does not, hopefully we'll have that back out to bid next week, for the building at Beacon Point. Does that make sense?
I don't understand why it's taking so long for us to get that done. It's been a month.
So the state laws changed.
I understand that.
When a bunch of changes came in. How many pages is that bid document? Do you know? Around 300 pages. And, we've been meticulously going through all of it. I think we're waiting on a cover sheet. We should get that tomorrow morning, and then we'll be out and on the run after that. It's not for lack of our staff not doing anything. We do have to make sure that our consultants agree with everything, and we also have to do a recheck with the architects and engineers that are involved in that. So trust me, it's not us. We are going on. The lift station bid is going out tomorrow. We got final clearance from EHP on that, so that's 5 lift stations that we're doing a complete rehab on under the CDBGDR grant. Hugh Thomas is at the state waiting on their final approval. We did get environmental done on that. It's good to go. We're just waiting on them to pull the switch. The bid's completely ready. As soon as they come back and they say, put it out, we will put that one out for bid. Sandy Creek, I'll keep giving this update. The environmental process, because we're redoing the entire sewer system out at Sandy Creek, the environmental review is gonna take up to 3 months. So I'll keep telling you it's an environmental until it's not. And that is through the state. We've got 2 projects that we're doing in-house. As y'all know, we've been adamantly working on the cemetery. We did have to do a survey on the cemetery. We got that back. Our staff has went in and Bill's team's done an incredible job. They've got the berm cut in. They're working on the retention pond now that's over just to the south of the power lines. And my guys are they're killing it. Well, Bill's guys are. Street department's working on that. They're doing a phenomenal job. And we'll be, now that the berm is cut in, we will be changing the specs a little bit because of how the survey came out on the fencing project. And so, Bill, are we ready is it staked off and ready now? Okay. We'll go out and take the measurements, we'll make the modifications on the plans, and then we'll put that fencing project out. As we said, we're gonna put out 2 alternates. One will be for a wood fence, one will be for a white vinyl fence. And we're actually, the property over there in general is just being improved tremendously. They're also working, if y'all have seen, there's been a lot of movement out there at Gore Park on the far west side where we had that big, huge ditch. Our guys have been putting in piping over there, backfilling. We still got a pole that needs to be removed by FPL. It's not in the way currently, but we've still got a couple of little things to do out there. Just real quick, where the drainage flows into that, I want everybody to know that we are going to harden and protect that so that the safety measures are in there. So that we won't have any safety issues in that area.
Can I make some comments on that?
You sure can.
Can you look at, I know you want to use that as additional parking. Can you look at probably finding some money to pave that?
Sure.
I mean, if you're gonna have additional parking, if you're gonna use it as additional parking. And also, we were down there, most Saturdays, Buddy walks us at Cole Park. And, I think we need to put some signage out there in some of the areas. It's getting to the point where they're gonna run our trees over. on the grass. I hate to see leisure services put all this time on maintaining and manicuring Bull Park, and then we have a touch football again this past Saturday, and we had cars all the way up to the trees there in that medium, the 2 medium. And there was plenty of parking everywhere else, they just don't wanna walk. You know, so somehow or another, I don't know if signs are gonna work, but we should have at least some signs. But I would think that all that work that you're doing down there, at Gold Park, we should pave it if you're gonna use it for additional parking.
We'll look into that. We sure will. It's gonna take a little bit to get that dirt compacted and get settled in, but yeah.
Long
I
range.
think that's gonna be, that actually is kind of a long range plan for us, is to eventually hopefully look at that and use off-street parking, because it's gonna add a bunch of parking spots.
Right.
Do we know how many there?
I haven't counted them, but it's gonna be
Gonna
about
be
30.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think, I thought Chris might have did some more math. Tim, did you do any math on that?
30's probably pretty close.
30, yeah.
We'll take 30, that's for sure.
You gotta be careful if we pave that, because then you lose your percolation, and then you have to deal with all the water that is coming off of
We've
that.
got stormwater coming underneath it, and.
They're underneath it?
And we're gonna be addressing that runoff that's coming off that practice field.
Okay, because then, you
Because
gotta.
if they're gonna use it as parking, it's gonna be worse if you don't pave it.
And any runoff that hits, that's gonna go down, it's gonna go down that corner. It's gonna free flow very quickly down to that corner. But, yeah, I got, we're definitely keeping that in mind.
Probably what, 10 to 15 feet of dirt there too, I think. No, it's pretty deep. We've been walking, Buddy takes us there, when was there the other day. He walks us through Gold Park.
We're in the final stages of the, HMGP projects for the wind retrofits. They're all done, but, closeout is vicious. We've got inspections coming up, in the 1st of March. That'll be the final inspections, and we should get our pay request in, so we'll get our reimbursements on the generators and the wind retrofits. We're still a little bit delayed on, the Bertha drainage, just because it's tied in with the erosion that's happening, and they'll have to do all that before we'll call them out for an inspection on that. I think the fire station painting is out for bid, correct? Okay, so, well, that's out for bid currently. And then finally, we have a meeting tomorrow on Cherry Street, a meeting of all the minds, one more time to see where we're at on all of this. I had a long talk with Maria Showalter from the state today, concerning the coordination of the utilities and how this is gonna work. She will be on the call tomorrow. The state is involved in all of our calls. They're on every one of them. I'll get y'all a report out tomorrow as soon as I get off there. I tried to get it moved up, but I couldn't get cooperation from everybody because it's a standard meeting that happens on a Wednesday. So I'll get y'all a full report out on that, on where we stand. As I said before, TICO has backed off of their big contract with the city. They're gonna use the standard FDOT agreement. We just, the plans are set, the red lines are in. I think there was somebody was questioning the other day on some of the AT&T drawings, and it was stated that these are all above ground. So, other than that, I will have a better idea of if they've got a timeline and everything tomorrow. They will not talk to me individually. None of them, they all refuse. They say, no, we talk as a group, or we don't talk at all. That keeps just the lines of communication a little bit more cleaner when it comes to it. Other than that, I will entertain, I'm sorry, the roundabout. Signs went up a little prematurely. The contractor thought he was gonna go right out and just jump right on it. FPL still has a pole in the way. Today, we met with Shane Boyette. We're meeting with the engineers out there tomorrow. I will let everybody know they were notified back the 1st of November, or it was sometime in November. I'm not sure exactly what the date was. They were notified in November. They have constantly been notified, and so Shane has pushed some buttons for us. So we're having a site meeting out there tomorrow with FPL. They've got one pole that needs to be moved. We designed it so that we didn't have tons of utility conflicts, because if everybody knows on that church corner, there's more underground communication lines that you can check stick at. So we've avoided all of that. So as soon as we get some direction from when FPL is gonna get there done, we'll get the signs back up and we'll notify the residents of the closure. We wanna make sure that they have enough things. There will be detours around it. It's not gonna be significant, but they will, we will have to close that intersection off. Now, project length is 210 days on that project. Does that mean it's gonna be closed for 210 days? I hope not, but I do not know. Once again, and people have asked, why didn't you do this in coordination with the bridge? We're not in control of the timeline of the money. All of these things are funded, and this is actually tied into the broke race, which is tied into state appropriations. And state appropriations, when they said if we could go, we started the process. So, you know, I know it's inconvenient, but it gets tied into a lot of free money. And that's, unfortunately, as y'all probably heard me say, don't touch my money. That just keeps it from coming out of the taxpayers' money if we can continue to get these grants. And then, of course, boat race, they will do that sectioned out as they go down. That'll be and they're probably gonna start on, what is that, Hardwood Court in those first. There is very, very thin asphalt in there. We have requested a change through the state that instead of doing a mill, we're gonna do what's called a reclamation. There's no change in price. Basically what that means is they'll take the base, which is not that great, but they'll mill the asphalt, mix it up, put that back down. It will secure the base, and then they'll just come back with fresh asphalt over the top of that. This is not delaying anything. It's just when they got in there and got to looking at it, it was just a much better process to follow. And full depth reclamation, I've been doing this for years. It's great. You want to put those millings back in because they just bind right back together, especially if you throw a little Portland with it. It really secures that base and makes it really, really good.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Now, boat race and the roundabout, are they gonna do them? Are they gonna be working on both projects at the same time?
Simultaneously.
One group will be heading boat race, and the other group will be working on the roundabout?
That's correct.
And then they'll tie together?
Yeah, they'll tie together. There'll be a shift in the road, so you gotta understand that at the end of their Earthbound boat race there, that road's gonna end up shifting to the south to make the roundabout work. So there will be new construction that's gonna go in over there so that it goes around. And we didn't want to affect the houses that were, already on that corner slide, so they'll have a separate entrance into their houses, which will be a small street that'll just ease off of it. Keeps it away from that intersection and everything else. Intersection, it's gonna end up with, we'll have 3 palm trees in the center of it. And, I think we decided we were going with the rock, right, Tim? Yeah, we're gonna use it's kinda like a river rock. It's a little bit smaller, but it'll be substantial. And big trucks will be able to go over the outsides of it. It'll be fine. I know people are a little subconscious about these roundabouts. Trust me, we'll like it. Hate me now, like me later, it's okay. That's all I got. What else?
I got 2 things that
Yes,
you
sir.
covered. One is, can you make sure we get notification ahead of time without none of all? You got notified same time I did by citizen that they were closing that road.
Yeah, I didn't know the signs went up.
So,
They were under
I hate that.
They were under a notice to proceed.
Yeah, I know that.
And,
They should be communicating to the city too.
They proceeded quickly.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I don't know them proceeding. And then, what's happening with solid waste?
Solid waste, I would probably say I'm about 75% complete. And I will have that at the next meeting for sure. I know I said that at the last meeting.
I know.
But it's been this last couple weeks been a little rough.
That's all I have.
Anybody else, anything he missed? Okay, well, that completes us, so is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak about anything? Mr. Bostic?
Shout out, hats off to, Sergeant Kinsey there. I think the trend down in crime in Callaway has been at his direction, him and his team. shout out to Kip for doing a great job. Shout out to Mr. Tim again. Got the best looking parks and recs in Bay County. He does an excellent job actually of being a PR guy for Parks and Recs. If you wanna know about it, he'll put it up either on the city's website or his personal website. Shout out to him for that. Shout out to Eddie Cook, probably the best city manager in Bay County. He's kept the city out of debt, he's kept the city moving along. Can't ask for better. I know the pay ain't the greatest, but we love getting with it.
I'm only as good as my staff is. My staff is absolutely incredible.
Shout out to Mary Henderson, Judge Mary in Bay County. Always willing to talk with you if you got problems. And shout out to the city commission. You guys, you're taking a lot of things. You get beat up for some, you get praised for others. That comes with your territory. It's not personal. We love you guys. You guys are doing a great job, keeping the city above board. Most of the time, probably 80–90% of the time, you don't see the TV cameras here. That means you're doing something right. They don't have anything to complain about, so, you know, if it comes across a little rough sometimes, you know, it's all our love and then nothing personal with it. Again, hats off to the great leadership team in Bay County. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
If you can get Tony Boston to give you a compliment, that means I've never been to another city meeting where you showed up. Tony, I give you $10 in magic. Love it, baby.
Anybody else want to speak? No one? I'm not missing anybody?
Let's end on that good note.
I forgot to do the announcements then. If nobody else wanted to speak, February 18th, does it look like we will have a planning board? Okay, there'll be a planning board meeting February the 18th. That's next Tuesday, and then February 25th will be our next commission meeting. We'll be doing some second readings, and it'll sound a lot like tonight's meeting in some ways. So, that's everything. So, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Everybody have a happy Valentine's Day.
You don't have a bell.